Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning. So I decided to take my walk, and here we are. So as always, hold on, car coming. As always, everyone have an amazing day. I'm throwing some extras in there because we all need it all the time. 3 things I'm thankful for: levels, teachers, and students. All right. So, as I always say, my energy level is always going up, and I'm always learning more. The more that I am appreciative of everything, the more I'm of understanding of everything, the more I receive. Okay? Somebody had to do it, and it was me. So, in my last video, y'all saw I couldn't spell depth, and it's cool. You know, it is what it is. It is what it is. I know what I need to know. I know that much. So, that's where we at this next point. And excuse me if I'm sitting back and, not sitting back. Maybe I am sitting back somewhere. If my breathing is changing because I'm leveling up. So, I'm hitting higher heights right now. So, excuse that. Ooh. All right. And my breathing definitely has something to do with what I'm about to talk about. All right, so I want y'all to understand some things. We are always in school, right? We're always in school. And we always have to learn, right? We always have to learn. So y'all know that terminology of fish out of the water? Or you know how like they had a picture of the fish bowl where it's 2 fish bowls and then one fish jumps over into the other bowl? That's how life is, all right? You jumping into another form of water. So, y'all remember when I was talking about the oil, the vinegar, and water thing? And I know I saw a video a couple of days ago. A couple of days ago where it was a bolt that was thrown in, a grape that was thrown in, and a sponge that was thrown in. And each one could handle only certain depths of the water or densities of the water, each one. And that's what's going on. So right now, you see, it's another foggy day. But guess what, world? We're in water. This is water. This is water. So you're like, but how? I'm about to explain it. So I saw this video a couple days ago, these 2 guys talking, and it was like, how do a fish know it's out of water? Can a fish see water? And if I can find the video, I'll attach it. Can fish see water? And then they said something about oxygen. What if, like, is it the same like oxygen? Something like that. All right? That's what's going on. We on water, okay? And there's different densities to it. So, you know the TV show SpongeBob and how they was at the bottom? How the fish was? That's how we are. You can't see oxygen because oxygen is water. We all breathe differently. But guess what? You're like, but how? How though? You understand how? Well, guess what? What do you drink? Water, right? Water is thicker than the air you breathe, right? So you've been training your body how to swim in deeper depths. That's why your body, how they say it's 70% water, so-called 70% water, is because you've been training your body, okay? That's why when y'all get in the water, in pools, deep dive, certain people only can breathe for certain time limits. And then some people can breathe even more. The deeper the water, the more depth you can tolerate on your lungs and breathe. Ask yourself, when y'all see fish get out of the water, y'all notice how it's hard for them to breathe. But then think about it. Let's look at reptiles, frogs, different things. Some can breathe in both areas. Ain't that what you're doing? So when you go at the bottom, when you go into a pool and you can swim, it's because what they call an ambidextrous, you can breathe. Because you have trained your mind to be able to hold the water. That's what they do. They know how to hold a certain part of water. If you notice, your nose is still open. Your gills are still open. They're still open. So you're telling your mind to hold your breath, but the water still is going in because it has to go in your system to be able to handle the water you're in. No different than theirs. They holding their breath, but they can still breathe. It's the same. It just looks different to us because our minds have to find ways to interpret things to make it make sense to us. So right now, you're basically like a fish. You breathing. Ask yourself, every person in the world got to open their mouth throughout the day. Ain't that what a fish do? You breathing in the water. Ask yourselves, why is it that when you get on the plane, you need oxygen to breathe? Because you're going up higher into a different type of density. That's why. You need something else to help your to train your lungs. That's why when people go into skydiving and stuff, when they do it as a normal thing, they got to train their lungs. No different than why is it that when you go to a mountain, like the toppest mountain in the world, right? They got to train themselves to be able to handle the air, that type of water. That's why. You have to train yourself to be able to breathe in that water. I know y'all like, but what about cars and this and that? Well, the vehicles and the cars can tolerate certain much. Ask yourself this. Why is it that, okay, everything breathes. Everything breathes. Everything breathes. If things don't breathe, then why is it breaking down? Because it breathes. If you don't take care of it, it breaks. So ask yourself, why is it that when cars in water, they drown? Because they can't handle that much water. Density. What about our hair? You're floating. Your hair is, why is it that when it rains, your hair acts different? Because it's heavier weight water on your hair. That's why your hair falls. That's why when it comes to the heat, the change in temperature, when it changes temperatures, that's why hair does do what it do. Because even when you get hot, the water on the inside, you're a volcano. When you get hot, you sweat. You're a volcano. We are the volcanoes in the world. We just move. So when you get hot, you sweat. What it does, screw up your hair. I tell you, we're everything. We're the trees. We're every single thing you could think of. So let's get deeper into it. Y'all probably wonder, well, where are we at in this world? You're all gods because you have the spirit inside of you. You're in physical form. You're a god. Okay, that's why when people in these elites start saying that, a lot of them didn't say it, but a lot of them felt it because they realized who they are. You're no different than the fish in the water. When y'all pick up the fish out of the water and eat them, right? In order for something to be acknowledged, it has to be seen. And in order to be seen, you have to be caught, meaning you have to be willing to sacrifice your life. Once the fish sacrifices life to eat something, it's acknowledging there's something there. It's a spirit that is acknowledging that someone is pulling me up out of the water. Now, in a way, you're like, Dad, but I'm eating the fish. Yeah, but that spirit becomes you because it went from the depths of the water into a higher frequency. Remember, I told you, ancestors and all of that. So now that energy is inside of you. The oil, what is it? The oil is inside of you. So now you become that fish that's in a different depths of the water. Now you're waiting to figure out how to get to the next level. But this is the thing. What happens to us? We die off. We die off because we caught on to the hook and saw it was our way to get out. And guess what? Now now we are in another form. Fish out of water. And once you recognize all of that, then you know how to handle all the depths of it. Because the same energy at the top is the same energy at the bottom. Ask yourself, what about the fish at the bottom of the ocean? A lot of them have what? Electricity. How can a fish have electricity in the water? How do we have fishes with the little lights or eels in water? Why about jellyfishes? How is it that they in the water and they have electricity? Why we have cars? Why we have lights? Why we have things that run if it's in the water? Right? Okay. Let's make it make sense. Power goes a long way. You just got to pay attention to it. In this world, it's like the military, right? You know how the military is? In order to get in the military, you got to train. You got to get your body right, right? You got to get your mind right, right? And you got to allow your spirit to be not control, but you have to be willing to listen to someone. Mind, body, spirit. Mind, body, spirit. Mind, body, spirit. It has to be able to be willing to listen to someone to give orders and direction. It has to be willing to allow someone to show them the direction and the way to go. So, when you look at the military, when y'all take those tests, right? Why just anybody can't be a nuclear bomb, be in technology? Why some people can't be, cooks? Why certain people only could be the crewmates? Why some people dabble in the shipping department? Why some people dabble in the legal department? Because it goes by the mind you have. The mind you have. If y'all notice one thing about the military, how come they all work together really good? Now, they got some stuff with them, but how is it that they can function the way they do? Because they listen to a higher power. When the higher power say, hey, this is going to be your leave time, or hey, you need to go help these people out, or hey, these are your vacation times, or hey, this is what need to be done. Because of higher power, right? But at the same time, even with the higher power, you get benefits. You get free medical benefits. You get, different discounts for things. Your family you can get certain stuff, right? You get to travel. You get to do whatever you want, as long as you listen to the higher power. Okay. That's how we are in the world. We are all listening to a higher power, a higher connection, a higher unit. But in order for all of that work, you have to believe in it. Why y'all get in the military? You don't believe in the military. Why y'all even listen to? Why is it that y'all, even the people that's not in the military, why do y'all stand to salute to the military if you don't care about the military? Because there's a higher call and a higher power. The only difference between them and the ones that's not in it is the ones of knowing who's free and who's not. But the problem is it's also in reverse. See, in this world, we all being directed by a higher power. It's up to you to acknowledge where you at in the system. If you don't want to be seen, and you don't want to be caught, and you don't want to be pulled, and you don't want to be acknowledged, then stay where you at in the water you in. It's literally like that. It's up to you to want to be taken to another level. It's up to you to want to go to a higher purpose. It's up to you to want to have true freedom in your life. And yes, I did a quotation mark, but at the same time, freedom goes both ways. But guess what? When you acknowledge both, you freedom no matter how high or how low. On that note, y'all have a blessed day.